but especially in reptiles, you want to make sure you're in. Hey guys, how's it going? What is up? Today we are going to be talking about the various places I've been to or used to obtain information about my reptiles. This is mostly going to be for those trying to break into the hobby or beginners, but I definitely think there'll be useful information for anybody in this. Basically just good ways, good tips to go about obtaining accurate information, places I go to that usually have good accurate information. And just maybe some ways to, save money if you're getting into this, or choosing a reptile and stuff like that. So it will be geared towards beginners, but I do think anybody could take a thing or two away from this. So let's get to it and we'll talk about everything. Okay, so the first topic I want to talk about is information. Information is very powerful and very important. You want to make sure your information on your species is accurate. This way you could take care of them in an adequate manner. Now, every piece of information out there is probably going to have something wrong with it. There's no perfect guidebook or perfect dictionary to any of these reptiles or any care. That's why you always want to check multiple sources. For example, the other day, I wanted to confirm that my Tegu could eat mangoes, right? I was pretty sure, but I wanted to confirm. So I googled, can Tegus eat mangoes? I looked at least 3 different sources. They all said yes, they can eat mangoes. So I was pretty confident that yes, they could have mangoes. That's what you should do about any questions you sort of have, any resource. Obviously, some information is going to be better than others, but most information in regards to reptiles, I see that is pretty good overall. It's not at least something where it's like, whoa, this shouldn't even be on the internet. So I don't really think there's a lot out there you should worry about, but being safe, check multiple sources. That being said, there are a few different avenues that I've gotten the best information from. This being different social media groups such as Facebook. I'll post some of the groups I'm in like next to me or something. Those have probably by far been the most informative. There is a great reptile community, at least on Facebook, that have, gave me a lot of knowledge. So I definitely recommend getting into some Facebook groups, something where you could talk to breeders directly, talk to reputable people in the community. It is very important, and you will obtain the best information there. I've also gotten some good information off of Reddit. The Reddit communities aren't as popular as the Facebook communities, but there is some good guides and information there. Some of them have their own wikis. And then forums just in general, like I mentioned in my Ackie Monitor care guide, herpcenter.com. While I'll note that one specifically is up still, I do know the forums are great places to get detailed pieces of information. The problem with articles really is, while they might not give wrong information necessarily, they're not going to get into the nitty-gritty stuff of just very specific questions. And usually those can be found on forums from, anywhere from now to like 10 years back. You do want to make sure that the answers you check are more up to date. I say, I wouldn't go anything over 10 years. Anything kind of this decade also probably is preferable because information does change. But definitely use those resources and feel free to go back a little bit in time to get your answer. I do strongly recommend that you join at least one of the communities I mentioned, whether that be a Facebook group or other social media group, a Reddit community, or some type of forum, and definitely check it out on the daily. You just want to make sure that your care is up to date. Your care should be ever changing, so there's never any solid 100% answer. So definitely join some type of community and, be involved, post, get active. It might be annoying and it might not be your most, wonderful thing to do that day, but it will make sure that you're taking adequate care of your reptile. Now we're going to talk about time and money, the two biggest things going into this hobby. The number one thing you need to know is preparation is the ultimate way to save money. This means that if you build your own enclosures, you're probably going to save a lot, since a lot of bigger enclosures on the market or even smaller enclosures are a lot more expensive than if you were to do it yourself. Also, if you're going to build your own enclosure or, your own piece, think out your build beforehand. You don't want to, do it all out really quickly and then get the equipment and then realize, oh, you did the dimensions wrong or something like that, because then you're just going to have to spend a whole lot more to fix that. Remember, little things do add up too. You might not take into consideration the bulb or anything or all that stuff, but that all does add up and it does pack a punch. One of the biggest recommendations I could give in terms of saving money is if you have reptiles that eat invertebrates, probably more than one, you should get your own dubia roach colony and get enough colonies to make sure that you never have to buy dubia roaches. Dubia roaches are pretty expensive, especially when you have multiple reptiles. I probably go through about 50 of them every other day among all my reptiles. And, that does add up. It does cost probably like, I don't know, $30 to $50 per 200 for like 1 to 1.25 inch size roaches. So, that is pretty expensive if you're doing 50 every other day. So definitely get your own colony. One of the other things a lot of people don't think of when they get their reptiles is how much they're going to impact you financially on a week-to-week basis moving forward. These reptiles don't stop needing things as soon as you get them. They are going to need things on a weekly basis, whether that be a bulb replacement, greens. Some of them are omnivores or vegetarians. I probably spend $10 to $20 on greens every week. And you not only want to get one specific green, you want to give them a variety. So that's, going to be a little bit more expensive, even though greens are pretty low cost. But anyway, all this stuff does add up. And, if you have to replace a UVB bulb, those things could go up to $50. So you want to make sure you have a budget set aside. And this isn't even including emergency funds for vet bills, which we're going to talk about now. Remember that even though reptiles are not your typical pet, they still may need a vet checkup from time to time, and you may even just want to do that for their well-being to make sure they're doing well. If you're investing this much time and money into an animal, not only, you care about their health, but you want to make sure that your care is meeting their needs. So definitely don't be afraid to take them to the vet. Definitely take them to an exotic vet too. Make sure you have one nearby, since they're going to know a little bit more about these reptiles. I definitely recommend taking any animal you have to a vet at least once a year. And if you feel they're acting abnormal, take them. It's not going to hurt. There's ways you could put it on credit, whatever, to fund this. But it's important that they're happy and healthy and you made this commitment when you bought the animal. So don't try to wait even if it's going to hurt you financially. One last topic I want to talk about is attention. Every day I spend about 1 or 2 hours with my reptiles, taking care of them. In terms of them wanting human interaction, a lot of them are solitary animals and will not freak out if they don't interact with you every day. So don't worry too much about that and do that on your own accord. Now for the actual purchasing of your reptile, the number one rule that I think everybody pretty much agrees on is do not impulse buy your reptile. Impulse buying is when you purchase your reptile without any prior knowledge of it, any prior setup, and you just purchase it right there as soon as you see it. This is a pitfall of a lot of reptile conventions, since there's a lot of, non-knowledgeable people going in there, seeing these really cool reptiles and just take them home, but don't know what the requirements are for them. Do not do that, trust me. But that being said, when it comes to choosing where you're going to purchase your reptile from, I definitely recommend finding a breeder in the community you joined. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned 3 different types of community that give good information. Join one of those, get to know some of the breeders. Trust me, they will be there. They will be posting about what they have for sale and things like that. And find one that is going to sell the reptile that you want and get to talk to them, learn from them, interact with them. They produce definitely by far the best reptiles, especially better than some of the bigger chains you see when you Google search. Those guys sometimes aren't that amazing and don't take as well as care as their reptiles. So definitely look for someone who is on those communities that is selling the reptile you want. Trust me, they can really use the business and they produce some of the best reptiles. Now, when it comes to what reptiles I recommend to start with, there are the typical ones. There's the bearded dragon, crested gecko, leopard gecko. I have 2 of the 3 of them. I have a bearded dragon, Max. My first reptile, I think bearded dragons are an amazing reptile and a great one to have first. They are very relaxed, but also very sociable. They are fast, though, don't get me wrong, but I think they're a great reptile to start with. Crested geckos are another sort of common one. They're a little bit more picky. Sometimes they don't like as much human interaction or don't tolerate it as much as a bearded dragon would. So I'd be a little bit careful about that, but their care isn't over the top, and there's something cool to have as a first reptile, a first gecko even. Leopard geckos, I don't have a leopard gecko. I hear they're really good, and their temperament looks really good. I would recommend them, but I don't really want to say too much since I don't have one. Those are probably your typical three, outside of snakes, which I never cared for snakes, so I don't want to speak too much on that. Once you get some experience taking care of some exotic pets, I do think an Ackie monitor is sort of the next step if you're trying to get into monitors and bigger lizards. So I recommend if you're sort of past the beginner stage where you have some type of exotic pet, some reptile, you try Ackies out before committing to a very, very large lizard or reptile. Ackies are very active, they require a lot of space, but their care isn't too over the top. The real commitment comes in terms of money and time when putting their enclosure together and getting their sort of ecosystem set up. Other than that though, Ackies are very easy to take care of in my mind, so I think if you're taking that next step from a beginner, Ackie is a good medium between the two. Anyway guys, I hope this video was helpful. I just wanted to do a video on where I get a lot of my information, what communities are good to be a part of. I know when I first started out, these communities would have been fantastic to be a part of and know at the time, so I think you guys should check them out. I also just wanted to give some general information on, things I wish I kind of knew when I started as well in terms of buying reptiles, spending, just various things that would have saved me some time and money in the long run. So I definitely hope for you beginners out there that this is a little helpful. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next video. I will be at Repticon Roanoke this weekend, so for some reason one of you guys are there, maybe leave a comment and we could say hi real quick. But anyway, stay tuned.